I'm not sure. I mean, it's probably always a combination of both. When you ever have an injury, whether you pop your hamstring or whatever it is, I mean, it's. But those are choices that that we have to make. I mean, it was unfortunate we had to make that push to get into the playoffs, but we did, and it happened, and it is what it is.
Was it your turn?
Of course, Mike's really going to tell me when to go in and out of the game.
Could you do it again? I mean, obviously knowing now, but would
Yeah.
you do it again?
Yeah, I would have.
Is there a coach that could keep you in and out of a game that exists?
Nah, you know what's funny?
Not a game?
Nah, I mean we got really can't ride Mike too hard about this because it's really it's Magic used to check themselves in the games too. MJ used to check himself in the games too, and I'm just following their example. So I used to do the same thing with Phil.
Kobe, what do you think of this roster? Obviously, you've been out a couple of weeks, but can this team, if it doesn't make changes, compete healthily next season?
Yeah, I think the couple areas that that you look at for improvement are kind of length, speed, some athleticism that can kind of offset some of the deficiencies we have in that department. So I think if we can figure out a way to bring some of that length and athleticism, I think we should be all right.
Are you fearing big changes?
A little bit, I understand cap situation, so that's always a concern. But all I can do is just voice my opinion, and what I think should be done. But it's not. I'm not the one that has to cut the check, So all I can do is just give it my 2 cents and go from there.
How important do you think it is for Dwight to resign?
I think it's very important. I think he's. I hope he does. It's really just a matter of what he feels in his heart he wants to do. He's kind of reached a crossroads of his career, and I think Los Angeles is the perfect spot for him to assert himself and to kind of put his foot down and have his career really take off and be what it should be. There's no greater place for centers to play than here in Los Angeles. So I'll talk to him, man. I'll talk to him and bring him out to the house and chill with him a little bit, watch another cartoon movie or something, and we'll have a good time.
Is what you just said going to be your overall message to him, or is there more that you're going to tell him?
Yeah, that'll be my message to him. I mean, you look at what he's done in the second half of the season; it's been pretty impressive, man. Coming off of back surgery as well, so this summer he's got all summer to get himself in the tip-top form, and next year I think he'll be unbelievable.
You've been one of Powell's biggest defenders. Did you put a good word in for him when you were up
Yeah,
there?
of course. I tweeted what I thought about that. I'm sure you guys didn't miss that. And so, yeah.
Powell comes here, you go to 3 straight finals. He said that you've grown in your friendship, your personal relationship, really every year. You're closer ever than now. How do you reflect back on him now, just thinking of that side of you putting your arms on him on the bench? How do you think about your time with Powell since it's been so far?
Yeah, I think it's been incredible. I mean, since he first got here, when we first traded for him, I think we were getting ready to play the Nets. As soon as he got in, I just went down to his room and we just talked for about 30 minutes. And from that point forward, we've always had a brotherly relationship. So.
When will you make your decision about how many more years you're going to play?
I don't know. Achilles kind of threw me a curveball. So I kind of got to think about this a little bit right now.
You still confident you'll be ready for the season?
Am I? Yeah. But we'll see.
Coach, you've dealt with a lot of injuries over the years, ones you've always played with, but knowing that this Achilles completely wiped out your season, how tough was it just to watch your team the last few games?
No, it was real tough. I just tried to help him out as much as I could, and try to do whatever I could to make a contribution. But it's tough, man. It's really, really tough. And, it's worse when you come out there on the court. It's worse because you come out there on the court, now you can feel the intensity of the game, you can feel the momentum of the game, and you kind of reach a point mentally where once I had this injury, this career ending as a player, I'm able to shut down that the rage and kind of the fire that I was playing with. You know what I mean? I was able to shelf that. as soon as I walked back out there on the court, everything just came right back. And so, I mean, it's hard.
You expect so many times that another championship is going to be a priority or maybe multiple championships for you don't play in. Where do you see that goal right now? Where this team is and where your health is?
Still the same. Still the same. I mean, we didn't play that bad. I mean, since the Memphis game, we really didn't play that bad. So, you know, I would really love to see our guys come back. You know, our core guys come back. You know, Powell, you know, being our guy, and you know, Dwight obviously. You know, but the rumors of everything that's swirling around Powell leaving here. You know, I say Powell front and center because of that. And you know, to me, it's a no-brainer. We need him to get to where we need to go. And like I said, it's not my money. I'm not the one that has to suffer those penalties. But you know, my vote would be to keep him here.
But Kobe, you do have a lot of cachet within this organization. Obviously, you express your opinion, maybe have a lot of influence. If they come to you, or maybe they already have, and say, hey, what do you think we should do for next year or not do? What would you tell
Well, I
them?
mean, I was pretty clear. When I met with Mitch, I was pretty clear about that. I mean, I said I want Powell here. It's not even a question. It's not a discussion with me. I think he gives us the best chance to win titles. And you bring Dwight back, and you know we're off and running. But you know you also have to look how well they started playing together. That puzzle finally got solved. Finally got solved, man. We were all just kind of clicking and rolling, and fortunately, circumstances beyond control kind of put a wet blanket over it. But that's my message.
Yeah, Kobe, without the bus gone, can you be as certain as you have been in past off seasons about the direction of the organization?
Yeah, I mean, you just gotta have the trust. I mean, it seems to me like this organization, no matter what it goes through, always seems to endure. It just always seems to land on its feet. It's just one of those franchises, man. It just always seems to figure its way out.
It's hit long.
Right.
You still have that.
Yeah, I do. And I know Jimmy's taking care of the basketball operations, and Jeannie's doing her thing from the business side, and I'm sure I'll talk to Jimmy. I'm sure I'll talk to Jeannie as well, and with the Bus family, and just figure out what we want to do. I mean, it's obviously it's a lot on the table for them, with these new penalties and so forth. So it's kind of like, it's a tough call to make. But then again, it is one more year. It's one more year, and that's what I look at it. I'm like, it's one more year of this thing, and I don't know how I'm going to suit up. Our contracts are in, finish next year. Powell's is done next year. It's like, hopefully we get Dwight locked up so he's here for a while, and so the future's kind of set already, and let's take a crack at this thing.
Kobe, from an injury standpoint, whenever a player has an injury like the one that you have, there's certain mental hurdles that they have to get over. Have you gotten over those, and how did you get over those mental hurdles?
Mental hurdles like what?
Well, the mental hurdles of, oh my goodness, why did it have to happen to me?
Oh yeah, that was
that kind of thing.
Yeah, that was over the minute I vented on Facebook. Really, I mean, it was like, I had a chance to get it off my chest, because those are emotions that I had. I mean, it was just first you go through sadness, and you go through frustration, and you go through anger, and then you reach the point where you say, okay, I got to be resilient. I got to be resilient. This thing's not going to beat me, and so that's the stage I'm at right now, and just kind of attacking it with the same kind of confidence that I would in my training regimen every summer.
Yes.
What makes you so
confident that you can be back over?
Well, I think the staff that we have here, I think the technology that we have available to ourselves, and the understanding of this injury. Whereas in the past, players might have waited 4 or 5 days to go in for the operation, where you let scar tissue develop and settle. I was advised to do it the next day, where the scar tissue doesn't settle. You don't have to have as much time to recover, and the swelling is less, and that's what I did. So I'm already ahead of the curve. So I think from a medical standpoint, that's what gives me the confidence. And then from me, I know how hard I'm willing to work. I know I have to be patient. And so I think you factor those two things together. That's why I'm confident about it.
Well, do you think Dwight's coming back?
Excuse me?
Do you think Dwight's going to re-sign with the Lakers?
I would say so. I would say he is.
What gives you that opinion?
Well, we all pride ourselves on being businessmen to a certain extent, And I think just from a business standpoint, it makes more sense, both contractually and also perception-wise. This is an incredible market. It's a great place. A lot of things go well for you when you win here, and I think that you got to put all that into a pot, as well as the team that we have. We didn't get off to the greatest start. We had a lot of ups and downs, a little turmoil here and there. But again, since that Memphis game, we played pretty darn well, and we still had a lot of injuries during that 28-12 window that we were able to play through. So, if I was him, I'd resign.
You guys
Are you
the right guy
surprised
for
that
this team?
he's been?
Say again.
D'Antoni the right guy for this team to coach?
Yeah, I think so. He's made a lot of adjustments. I think at the start it was tough because he had his way that he wanted to play and kind of wanted to stick to that a little bit. And it took a little while for him to bend and kind of relent a little bit and bring Powell in along with us, and which he finally decided to do. And since we've done that, I mean, we've had absolutely no issues.
How much of a role did you have in D'Antoni making those adjustments against Kyle back then?
Well, I mean, I was the vocal one. I was the vocal one that kind of said, hey, we're 8 games under 500. Like, we got to – enough is enough, And to his credit, he sat down and took it and, made changes, and we went on from there.
Kobe, a lot of the teams that are still playing have had the type of cohesion, with the coach of the roster, just the guys to be able to learn each other. How difficult does that make a season like this with 3 coaches the last 3 years? How important is it going forward to kind of figure out the plan and then execute?
Well, I mean, you got to take this season, and if we can gain something positive from this season, it's bringing most of the guys back. This way, this season you just don't lose this season. And what I mean by that is when you go through a season like this, and you're 5 games out of the playoffs, and all of a sudden you have this incredible run, and now we not only end up in the playoffs, but you end up with the 7th seed, coming from where we came from. It does something to the character of the group. It builds a togetherness, an understanding. Like, there's no more confusion about, how I should play with Dwight, or how Dwight should play with Powell, and all this other stuff. It's not there anymore. So to allow that to dissipate and have to do that again with another group, it's a headache.
Did you hear some of the talk about when we first got heard that the Lakers should amnesty you? I'm curious.
No, I didn't hear it at all.
Curious your reaction to that.
I found it. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I mean, I understand what everybody is saying from a business perspective. So yeah, I mean, I enjoy that kind of chatter.
Did you enjoy it as much as when Mark Cuban said that?
Well, yeah, I mean, you saw what happened to Mark Cuban. So I mean, I got a whole summer to sit on this one. So I took notes of who said what.
You guys talked a lot.
If all the big decisions were up to you to make, what changes do you think are absolutely necessary for the Lakers to go all the way next week?
I think just length and speed and athleticism. A couple guys that can provide that for us.
You guys talked a lot in the preseason about collective sacrifice and what it would take to get the full Hall of Fame caliber players together. How difficult, do you guys think you understood really how difficult that would be once everybody got on the floor? Yeah,
we understood it, but we never really had a chance to develop it because, it was just injury after injury after injury, and it was just crazy. And then a new coaching staff with a system that didn't fit, and so we had to work through that as well. So it was just a constant process for us. But we finally figured it out, and still had to deal with injuries and played well enough to get the 7th seed. So we knew what the challenge was going to be, but at the same time, we didn't expect to have to deal with all of these injuries.
Is there any sense you guys would? I know you don't think you have to start over, but since none of the guys were ever on the floor together, is it difficult?
No, we know what we need to do. We know how we need to play together because we know what that rhythm feels like. That's what I'm saying. Is it's great to bring the group back, the core guys back, because we know what we have to do and we know how lethal we can be. So, to break that apart and now have to start fresh again with another group, man, it's just.
Back and healthy, what could you guys do?
Say what again?
If everything's back and healthy, what could you guys do?
We win a championship. No doubt about it.
How would you describe the way your and Kyle's relationship has grown over the years? Why do you think you two in particular click so well?
Well, we get along. We get along. We get along extremely well. Our personalities match, and we're opposite in personalities, but it matches and it works. I told him, I said, before every game now, this is before the Houston game, I said, this is Houston game? It was Houston game. So you have to come over to my house, just kick it. You know, I got a little therapy room. We did a little therapy in the room there and hang out with my kids, man, and just watch a movie and just goof around. Because you went out the next night and had a ridiculous triple-double. So it was like, you know, this is part of your routine now.
What's it been like here?
I mean, the worst case is what? I lose some athleticism. I lose some speed. I see a lot of guys who are not athletic and don't have speed that are still pretty damn good. And I think I'm a little better than them, so I think I can adjust.
Well, you guys dangerous next year because of what the people are probably not going to be
I can't help it.
as much as you guys had in the past.
Say again?
Are you a more dangerous team going into next season, assuming everybody's healthy? People are going to be expecting you guys another year older, you're coming off all the injuries. Does it make you more dangerous?
Yeah, I would think so. You kind of fly below the radar a little bit, and I think it builds it puts a chip on your shoulder that we carry around with us all summer. And coming into next year, knowing exactly what we need to do, knowing how we like to play together, and there's no guessing. You know, there's no having to figure anything out. We know exactly what we're going to do. And starting day one in training camp, we're going to do it.
So you came that far enough that you know how
Oh, for sure. For sure.
You think
For sure.
Mike accepted that? I mean, like, with the new training camp, he's not going to try to go back and do things the way he wanted to in the first place?
No, not at all. We talked about that, actually. It's not something that he's even considering. I mean, you got Powell here, you got Dwight here. We're going to play. We're going to post the ball hard, man. We're going to post the ball hard. We're going to slow it down, and you have the opportunity to run. You run. I mean, same way we've been playing.
Did you guys spend him at all, or was it mostly Mike coming to where the roster was?
It was Mike coming towards the roster. I mean, we just, you know, we could run for probably one night, but you know, after that we just physically couldn't do it.
Kobe, literally half your life you've given to this team on the court. I don't know if what happened to your body this year changes anything, but when you come out, you get the ovation. What's going through your mind in Game 4?
Don't tear up, because then you look like the biggest chump in the world. Don't tear up and don't trip. And yeah, that's what went on in my mind, man.
Kobe, the Lakers are going to play the first preseason game in China. Were you going to be there? Are you still going to be there?
I'll be there, but I seriously doubt I'll be ready to play. But I'll definitely be there.
Kobe, you have that ad that Nike put out also, like the things that you can do and what you're going to do, the fans' reaction to you. All the support you've gotten, considering the amount of years you've been playing in the NBA, how do you feel about that?
It drives me. It drives me. It gives me more fuel and you know, more focus, and to have that support, you know, and to see all the fans and what they say and what they post about, you know, don't listen to what everybody says about, you know, you being done or being finished or being over the hill, and you know, this injury at your age can't come back and all sorts of stuff. You know, they believe in me, and you know, I take that, I wear that with a badge of honor to not disappoint them and show them that, you know, we can rise up again and we can do things that we did before. So I think it's fantastic. I think it's great for him to be able to come out and have the courage to do so. I think it sets a great example, great precedent, man. So somebody's got to be the one that steps up to the front and kind of takes the leadership on that. And I'm glad he did.
What was it like for you? You know, when you go back to the summer of 2007, people thought it was crazy. 3 yards, 7 years, 6 years later, you're kind of like the spokesman of the league now, and everybody was talking about Jason Collins. And who better to comment on it than Kobe Bryant? What is it like for you to go through that transformation?
You know what? It's just consistency. You know I'm gonna sit down and blurt something out that I just really believe in. You know, I truly believe. And some people like it, some people don't. But you know I'm gonna keep it real with you. So I think that's where that comes from. Is not being afraid to voice your opinion or what you feel like you have to say. Well, I never really viewed it as that. I just viewed it like I saw that and I said, well, this is how I feel about it. So I'm going to say it, and then where it goes from there, it goes from there. But you know, especially 17 years in the league, you feel relieved to not have to. Oh my God, I can't say this or I can't say that. You know, it's like
Time for two more,
Kobe,
guys.
you mentioned 17 years in the league. You came in with Steve Nash back in '96. I know it was a very tough season on him. How do you reflect on just that you guys seem to share a collective work ethic and have a lot in common? How would you reflect on Steve?
It was great to see him work every day, because obviously, we've dealt with each other, from a distance for many years. But it's great to see him work, to see him go through his progressions, see how he thinks the game from behind the scenes, kind of pull the curtain back a little bit, and say, oh damn, if I knew that, maybe we could have beat them, in 2006 and 2007, maybe we. But then you get a chance to see his greatness, because he's extremely intelligent, and his work ethic is unbelievable. So it's been fun.
So speaking of all the support that you have right now from people around you, sometimes people seem to forget that it wasn't all peachy. There was a time where it wasn't all support for you, with never wanting to be traded and all of that. And right now, Dwight's in a situation where he gets love and he gets hate from the media here. So what type of advice could you give to him with you having been in that situation?
Just be yourself. Just be yourself. If you feel a certain way, voice it. There's nothing wrong with that. You can't please everybody. There's going to be people who love you and people who don't like you. But my advice to him is where I come out on it is be yourself. Allow people to judge you for who you are. If they don't see really who you are, then they're not really judging you fairly.